just strike all that gentle, that good of I see my reflection in your eyes. Your age has just begun. Sword is on the fire of the furnace. Hungers to be hit and wants to have a hunt. In their soul, the state of their existence. They may dance the maddest in the forest of the red rain. Beloved brother, enemy, I sing my sword song for you. The lullaby of obliteration. So I can wake up with a smile and bliss in my heart, and bliss in my heart, and bliss in my heart.
Why?
To send a message.
Now you hunt then. So you won't be a message.
I will always be a message. Only now, the message is different.
And they had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollyon.
What a coincidence.
Coincidence!
miles over New York. These pictures, made from a Pathé News plane less than 4 hours before the tragedy, show the world's largest airship heading for Lakehurst, New Jersey.
Hello. So let me explain to you this story, how this is possible. It's not very hard to understand. You know, you can train the son of a donkey to run as fast as possible. It'll never run as fast as the son of a purebred racehorse. It doesn't matter how much you try. It doesn't matter how good the essence of the donkey is. It'll never run as fast. Same thing here. You know, Lucifer had a son, Mariel. They called him Azazel 104, among many other names, because we all have many different names. But that's a different story. That belongs in other worlds. It's not like humans only have one name, unless they change it. But we have it from the beginning, from the get-go. Anyway, we call him Azazel 104. At the time when he was born, the Vlachs were working on a whole bunch of different hybrids. They're experiments. They've done thousands and thousands of them. Many out there that don't exist anymore. The majority don't exist anymore. But you know, cooking up hybrids, different recipes, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that race, and not only races, other things too. You mix everything, minerals, proteins, and essence from other races, essences they make up, you know, DNA they create, what we call DNA, all kinds of stuff. At the time, they were working on a very special race of hybrids that they want, and this is when they got a hold for a while of Azazel 104, but that's a long story. It will take me another 10 episodes to explain, and one day I will. They got a hold of him. They took him. Azazel 104, Apollyon, whatever you want to call him. And they used his essence, so Lucifer, Mariel's essence, to create this Vlagish. Gish is the name. Gish is the name of Lucifer's father, my grandfather. Gish, one of his names. That's what they call him, Vlagish. Vlach and Gish. Anyway, they infected him with this new recipe. They infected Azazel 104 with this recipe of different essences and all kinds of stuff that they do, the freaky stuff they do. And eventually Lucifer got Azazel 104 back, but it wasn't the same anymore. Or when you mixed what they had done with Lucifer's essence, which was his from birth, it was there to stay. Because once you have Lucifer's essence, you can reincarnate as many times as you want, it won't go away. It's that purebred horse that I was talking about. It's always there. The son comes back, doesn't matter how many times he gives, the purebred racehorse, how many kids he has, they're always good. Some are better than others, but they always run fast. They're always purebred. Same thing with the Azazel 104, because he had Lucifer's essence, and Lucifer's essence had been infected with this other recipe that they were making. Now every time he reincarnates, he comes back as a Vlagish, which is the name they called it. But he didn't know that until when he became Napoleon. You know? Maybe Napoleon went to the pyramids, and that's when he found out about his origins. And that's why he's a Vlagish, the original Vlagish. And he didn't know, but he found out. About essence, there's something I wanted to tell you about essence. You know, it's almost everybody in the world has Vlash essence or Met essence. I'm sure I have Vlash essence. You probably too. But it's residual, residual. It's like, imagine a huge lake or a container with 1 trillion liters of water, and there's like 2 or 3 specks of dust on the bottom. Those are the Vlash essence in that huge amount of water. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't change who you are, your personality, your health, nothing. It doesn't make you go crazy because it's residual. There's nothing there. Why do I say that you have Vlash essence? And me too, most likely. Because this has been so widespread throughout the millenniums that it's very hard not to have. For example, imagine a person, imagine a man 10,000 years ago, a Vlash hybrid, pure Vlash hybrid, 10,000 years ago. He gets together with a female human, pure human, okay? And they have 5 kids. Those 5 kids are going to be Vlash hybrid. But the Vlash essence is not going to be pure because this Vlash hybrid, they were born from a Vlash hybrid and a human. So they have the essence, but it's a bit more watered down. It's not pure. Now they have 5 kids, I said. Imagine that these 5 kids also get married to humans, pure humans. And then they have kids. So their kids also have Vlash essence, but it's going to be even more watered down. And so on and so forth. Of course, if one of the kids gets together with another Vlash hybrid, then the essence will stay at the same level or even improve. If the other Vlash is pure Vlash, One is a watered down Vlash and the other one is a pure Vlash, so can even improve. But over time, over thousands of generations, thousands of years, the direction is for most of these Vlash hybrids for their essence to water down, because they keep on mixing with humans and on and on and on. It gets to a point that the essence is so residual that it's not even there. It doesn't make any difference. So, and when you're born, when you reincarnate and you're born to human parents, some of them have Vlash essence, residual. So you'll get it too, just because you were born, reincarnated from human parents. It's there, but residual. It's nothing. It doesn't make any difference for you to feel like a Vlash hybrid or to act like one or to have problems, psychological or physical, related to the Vlash essence or the Met essence, which is even worse. You gotta have it very strong, Cannot be just residual little specks of dust in your stream, in your DNA, whatever you want to call it. So don't be worried about it, because everybody has it. I'm sure I probably have it too, but it's impossible not to have. Like many people around the world have Karishush essence, but it's residual, because of our hybrids. But it's residual. You gotta have a strong Karishush essence first to become a 72, and other things. But for you to be clear about this. So, that's it for now. Love you. Ciao.
Dr. Fennick, you are a neuropsychiatrist and you are an expert in near-death experiences and end-of-life phenomena. Before I ask you about that, what is a neuropsychiatrist?
I'm a neuropsychiatrist, and that means that I'm trained in neurology and psychiatry. And I've done that for many years. But it's a perfect position to be, because you're between brain and mind. So you can see both sides of the field and understand them much better than if you were just a psychiatrist or a neurologist. I was interested in sleep. I was interested, as the equipment came in, to look at brain structure. But first of all, I was interested in the electrical activity of the brain, EEG. And in fact, one of the first papers I wrote was on George Harrison. Do you remember George Harrison, the Beatle? Mm-hmm. Well, he very kindly came along to our lab, and I took his EEG when he was meditating, because he'd been to see the Maharishi and so on. And he was one of the first meditation records that I got. Mm-hmm. So that then became an interest of mine. So meditation and unusual experiences, spiritual experiences, I studied. And then I became interested in the near-death experience, mm-hmm. and that led on to an interest in dying and how we die.
Mm-hmm. In broad terms, what can we learn from these scans?
So how does neuropsychiatry help us understand people?
Yeah.
It's very good because you get both sides of the picture. You can understand what's going on in their brain, and you can understand what's going on in their minds. So you've got a really quite close correlation between those two things. But it also directs you straight to the fundamental question of our time, and that is, what is consciousness? Is it all brain? Is it outside of brain? Because William James, way back at the turn of the century, said that consciousness was outside and the brain filtered it, as many people have done since then. Mm-hmm. Whereas others, and the main thrust of modern science is to ignore that and to say, no, it's all brain function. Mm-hmm. My own view is that's too limited. Mm-hmm. I don't think it is for a minute.
Yeah. How did you get involved with near-death experiences?
Near-death experiences I thought was rubbish, absolute rubbish. It only happened in California, and it would never ever cross the Atlantic. I knew that, and I said so. But
when was that?
Oh, that was way back in the late 1970s, just going into 1980. Until there turned up in my consulting room somebody who'd had a near-death experience. He'd had a cardiac catheter in one of our hospitals in London, which had gone wrong. And during the process, he left his body, watched the resuscitation, and then had a classical near-death experience. And so with this as an example, I was able to study them. And I came to the conclusion that they really happened, and they had a lot to teach us. So I had to shift my position from rubbish to really interesting.
Mm-hmm. How did you go about studying these phenomena?
First of all, I took individual cases when I came across them, and looked at those from the point of view of what the people experienced. And I set up a number of studies. Some of them I was allowed to do and others I wasn't. For example, in one of the hospitals that I was in, I wanted to study people in the intensive care unit and see if they had near-death experiences during their time. And when I put it to that hospital's ethics committee, the man who ran the intensive care unit said, none of my patients will have experiences like that. It's a waste of time. And so I couldn't do that one then. So I went the other route, and that was to study the experiences that people had had. And I was very lucky because in '87, I did a television documentary in this country. And following it, we got 2,000 letters. Do you remember letters, those things you open, you know, not an email. So we got 2,000 of those. And that gave us a huge database. So I took the best ones, best meaning the most like an NDE, and sent questionnaires off to 500 of them. And that became a sample. And I learned a lot of very important things from that. Firstly, this sample will never be repeated again because 98% had in fact not heard of NDEs when they had their NDE. Mm-hmm. So that automatically rules out suggestion and things like that.
Shock and sadness in Paris as the iconic Notre Dame Cathedral goes up in flames. Firefighters are racing to save the 12th century landmark after a blaze erupted on the roof Monday evening. Onlookers were horrified as the 750-ton spire of the famed cathedral collapsed before their eyes.
Everyone in the crowd here is very emotional. We're all very upset. A part of our heritage is burning down at this very moment. There are no words. I can't even describe what's happening right now. Paris is collapsing.
Showed up right before the fire at the Notre Dame Cathedral. I mean, and you're going to see it show up in the screen here in just a moment. There's going to be a little black dot to the left. Did you see that? Let me slow it down for you and zoom it in. It shows up and it's there. Each frame is a minute. It's one photo, and every minute another photo is taken. I've zoomed it in here again, slowed it way down for you, so that you can see this thing. It's kind of fades in, is there for several minutes, and then it just fades back out and goes away. It's like it uncloaked and right before the fire and was there, and then as soon as the fire was started, it disappeared. You see the smoke in the screen now. Notre Dame is just off the screen to the left. See it there? It just appears. You can see the people moving around on the ground during the whole time, so it shows that it was there for several minutes. And then as soon as the fire starts, it disappears. Here's a different format just to get a little different look at it. I've got it zoomed in and slowed down as well. Once again, and it'll just give it a little different look at whatever this thing was sitting in the sky. It just happens to be there right before the fire. I mean a major fire. This is next to the Vatican burning down.
Into this with a much more closer view here. I've just included a wider view for reference purposes. So in this video, which I've got some references as well, you have to look out for two things. When the camera pulls in, you'll see a flash where the person's next to. Then they move to another location and there's another flash itself. So let's go into it here. I've got this looped. So don't worry, I know my cursor's got a red thing over it. For the first initial view, I'm just going to show you what's happening here. So in this location, you see that flash itself. Now when the camera actually pulls in, you'll see a flash here as well. It's very hard to pull out. I'll just leave my cursor off the screen. You should see it around that location. Did you catch that flash? That is when the figure moves to this location here and you see a flash. Now there is an object obscuring the view for what is slightly whatever's behind that, but it seems in front of that there is a flash itself. So there's two flashes by this figure who's moving around on the rooftop, which if this video is recorded at the time it says it is, and there is the flash round about there. If this video is recorded at the time and place it states it is, that shows that this person is doing something on the rooftop. It's unknown, of course it's heavily pixelated. You'll find out why in a moment, because it's a view that's from very far out. But it shows that this person's doing something on the rooftop itself. There's the first flash, if you caught it. Then they go to the other location and you'll see another flash soon at that location as well. So what are the flashes is the question. See that flash there? Now of course you can rewind this video and watch it as many times as you like, so I'm not going to go any more into this. I'll just play it one more time on this loop here and then we'll head off to the information. So here is one of the initial flashes, and then they walk to the other location and there is another flash as well, which you can see on screen there. So here is the information from the video. It was recorded on the 15th of April there at 5:05. The source is viewsurf.com and it's from the Notre Dame webcam, which apparently is a well-known webcam that just stays and takes a large picture of the actual location itself. My guess is that the reason why it takes a photo of this so long is that time-lapsing it for maybe in the future a documentary to show the building or renovations with the scaffolding, etc. at certain parts of the cathedral, which will be probably used in documentaries. So if you're asking why would you point a webcam at the location. The archives themselves, and I'm not saying they're associated with some documentary crew, it's more likely they're gathering footage that they can sell in the aftermarket. One of those would be to upcoming documentaries or whatever the case. So the archive only goes back like a day or so. So I went and checked the website and I can't get that video, but everything about the video seems correct in terms of where it is and all these types of things like that. So either the archive, and I don't know the provenance of the website, either the archive's been deleted around that time, or they delete their archives automatically and only keep them for a certain amount of time. Now what I'm going to play you is in regards, if we just step away from that video at the moment, because it's very hard to say what that video is about. I'll go into some speculations a bit later. It seems like some kind of suspicious activity. We're going to play you some information from a fire chief. Now this person was in charge of overseeing the restoration up until 2013 of Notre Dame. And they dismissed a number of things which the mainstream media seem to be pushing in regards to the circuitry, in regards to the narrative. And they were ahead of the restoration. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the French clip, and it's in French with subtitles below it. You'll be able to see on screen. I'm going to let it play full so you can listen to it. Maybe you can understand French, or you can look at the subtitles. Then I'm going to go into a text version and have direct citations. So let's just really play this video here, and I'll be back after the video is finished playing.
Ça brûle pas comme ça.
Bah non. Vous savez, du chêne qui a 800 ans, c'est très dur. Essayer d'en faire brûler, enfin moi j'ai jamais essayé. Mais du vieux chêne, c'est pas évident du tout. Il faut mettre beaucoup de petits bois pour y arriver. Là je sais pas s'il y en avait. Non, j'arrête de plaisanter. Je crois que non, moi ça me stupéfie beaucoup.
Et où vous mène cette réflexion? À quelle hypothèse elle vous amène?
Je vois pas d'hypothèse que je puisse dire. Quelle hypothèse on pourrait dire? Que ça a été vite. Qu'on aurait pu faire autre chose pour que ça n'aille pas aussi vite. Moi, je me perds en conjecture. Vous savez, on a fait à Notre-Dame, juste avant que je prenne ma retraite, c'est-à-dire dans les années 2010, on a remis à plat toute l'installation électrique de Notre-Dame. Donc, il n'y a pas de possibilité de court-circuit. On a remis à plat, et aux normes contemporaines, même en allant très loin, toute la détection et protection incendie de la cathédrale, avec des éléments de témoins de mesure, d'aspiration, etc., qui permettaient de détecter un départ de feu. J'avais en bas de la cathédrale 2 hommes en permanence qui sont là jour et nuit, et qui sont là pour aller voir dès qu'il y a une alerte, et appeler les pompiers dès que le doute est levé.
Ils sont là en permanence?
En permanence, oui.
Pourrait-il avoir une boîte de défaillance de mécanisme d'alerte? Impossible.
Tout est possible. Tout est possible.
It's among the piles of charred beams and damaged stones that investigators are attempting to find out just how the blaze broke out inside Notre Dame Cathedral. So far, they're pointing the blame at an electricity fault. A lift had been set up on the building site to reach the highest parts of the scaffolding, in a similar way to the one used to renovate Reims Cathedral. But according to the site's manager, an electricity fault is not to blame.
We did indeed have a power supply on site, but the lift was set up 7 to 8 meters away from the cathedral, and the power supply was checked by a certified inspector. So we followed all of the safety standards and procedures.
The workers say that no electrical equipment was used on Monday. They also claim to have followed security guidelines when leaving the site by switching off the electricity and giving the key to the power supply into security. Analysing the differences among the remains of the cathedral will be key to finding clues. Some areas were burnt to ashes, while others were spared. Important indications, according to this specialist.
This
was completely destroyed, but this area is significantly lighter. And if you look carefully here, you can see there's barely any wood remaining, so this could be an area where the fire was hotter, where it all started.
A challenging task that lies ahead to determine just what caused the blaze that devastated the cathedral.
In regards to the additional precautions that could have been taken to ensure such a quick incineration could be prevented, and he stated that in his opinion in the 90s he stated, we updated all the electrical wiring of Notre Dame, he said, so there is no possibility of a short circuit. We updated to conform with contemporary norms, even going very far, all the detection and protection systems against the fire in the cathedral. Interesting comment, considering the official narrative is that it was a short circuit. How would they even know that? I mean, you've got a building burning. How do you automatically assume, without a full-on investigation, that it was a short circuit? Number two, anybody that knows about electrical wiring would know that there would be a number of fuses, secondary, so on and so forth installed, so when the load is too high for whatever reason, it just burns out the fuses. That's what fuses are for. And in a historical landmark like this, no doubt they had many different fail safes in place. Indeed, probably electronic mechanisms that would go and just cut out the power entirely to stop the load even when the fuses were cut out. And that's what fuses do, by the way. When a fuse burns out, the current cannot flow through again, so everything after the fuses themselves don't have an active current running through the wiring. So there's a number of strange things about this that don't seem to fit the official narrative. Why was arson ruled out automatically within a matter of hours? Something to think about. Of course, I don't know the answer. Maybe someone that knows a lot about electrical wiring and things like that has a different opinion.
my friends. I give it the iPet Goat 2 prophecy. In that video that I just showed you guys, because I was waiting for it, guys. He's mocking portents of the future coming on this planet. Well, I'm gonna mock it right back, guys, because I'm gonna tell you the prophecy again.
In the sacred places, woolen animals seen, with him who dares not in the day. At Carcassonne for a suitable disgrace, a longer stay set him.
The beast of Revelation is in France. You want to find the beast, kill the deer. The beast of Revelation is in France. You want to find the beast, kill the deer.
October 1415, the age of chivalry died. This was the moment when 100 years of war came to its bloodiest climax. At Agincourt, an army of French knights, fighting under ancient chivalric codes of honor, came face to face with a new and ruthless approach to warfare. And the brutal encounter that followed set the seal on the medieval world.